Luis Suárez, crying, makes an exciting request to Messi after the Argentine says that he is going to leave everything. This is not a rumor, this has just happened. Leo Messi, the man who has won absolutely everything that can be won in football, has said today in an interview that he is retiring, that he is leaving, that he is leaving. And what comes next is what he is really going to leave you with your mouth open, because his best friend in football, the man who shared locker room goals and tears with him, Luis Suárez, has broken into tears in front of the cameras asking him not to do it, asking him not to leave, asking him that the world does not remain without Messi yet. And that is not all. Stay, because the one who has also opened his mouth is Cristiano Ronaldo. Yes, you heard right. The eternal rival. The man with whom Messi has measured himself for almost 20 years. Cristiano Ronaldo has given a statement that no one expected about Messi's retirement. And I swear that when you hear what he said, you are going to have to rewind this video. This is what I promise you in the next few minutes. You are going to know every word of Suárez's request. You are going to know exactly what Messi said in that interview and why he has made this decision now. And you are going to hear Cristiano Ronaldo's full statement, which has left the world of football in silence. 3 bombs, 1 video, and I'm going to tell you everything with hair and signs, without leaving me a comma. But let's go step by step, because if I let you go all at once, you lose half of the context that makes this historical. Leo Messi has given an interview today that is already the most viewed of the year in the world of football. And what he said does not leave room for interpretation. He did not say, I'm thinking about it. He did not say, we'll see. He did not say, it depends on how I feel physically. No, he said, he's retiring. Period. And for him, the time has come to say enough. That his body asks him to stop. That his head, for the first time in his life, no longer needs more football. And look at what he says, because it is key to understanding everything that comes next. Messi has said that he is happy, that he feels at peace, that he has won everything he has disputed. Everything. Think about that for a second. World Cups, Champions, Leagues, Copas America, Ballons d'Oro. Everything. There is not a single trophy in the history of this sport that this man has not raised with his hands. And he has said that now, for the first time, he feels tired. Not injured. Not angry. Not frustrated. Tired. A fatigue that is not of the body, but of the soul. The fatigue of someone who has given absolutely everything he had, and no longer feels the need to give more. And this is where I, as a football fan, have to tell you something. Because it seems to me that we are not understanding the magnitude of what has just happened. This man has been playing professional football since he was 16. Since he was a boy in La Masia who barely raised 1.60 meters from the ground. And since then, he has not stopped. Not a single year. Not a single season without titles. Without pressure. Without the obligation to be the best in the world every time he stepped on a football field. And now he says he leaves it. And people are surprised. What surprises me is that he has endured so much that a human being can sustain that level of demand for more than 2 decades. And reach the end with a smile on his face saying that he is happy. That, dear ones, is not normal. That is from another planet. But wait, because here comes what really matters. What Messi did not expect. What none of us expected. While Messi gave that interview. While his words began to go around the world. While the headlines of all the newspapers on the planet were filled with, Messi is retiring. There was a man somewhere who could not contain his tears. A man who picked up a phone or stood in front of a camera and said something that came straight out of his chest. That man is Luis Suárez. And what Suárez has said, what he has asked, what he has begged with red eyes and a broken voice. It is something that I will not tell you in full yet. Not because I want to annoy you, but because you need to understand first who these 2 men are together, so that Suárez's words hit you as they deserve. Because if I let you go now, without context, without the story behind, you would lose half the impact, and I'm not going to do that. Stay. This is about to get very fat. And Cristiano Ronaldo, we leave that for later, because what the Portuguese has said is so unexpected. So out of the script of the rivalry we have lived for 20 years. That needs its own moment in this video. And I promise you that you will have it. But first things first. Let's talk about what Messi means to football. Not in terms of statistics, that you already know them all. Let's talk about what it means in human terms. Because there is something that people forget with the geniuses, that they are also people, and people get tired. People get to a point where they say, enough, I've had enough. And Messi has reached that point. Look at what this man has done in recent years. Because there are people who think that Messi was already finished, that he went to the MLS to charge and walk. And it's a lie. What Messi has done in the United States, it has been a sporting barbarity. He has taken a league that many considered smaller, and he has put it on the world map. He has filled stadiums in cities where football did not even exist. He has made millions of Americans, of people who did not even know what an offside was, but they fell in love with this sport. And on top of that, he has performed. Goals, assists, titles. He has continued to be Messi, even when everyone thought he could no longer be. And now he says he's leaving. And I ask myself, and I ask you, are we ready for a world without Messi? Are we really ready to turn on the TV one Sunday and know that there is no game on any corner of the planet where that man is going to do magic with a ball? Because I tell you the truth, I'm not. And I think Luis Suárez is not either. And I think, oddly enough, Cristiano Ronaldo is not either. But let's get to what we're going to. That there is fabric to cut. After the World Cup in 2026, Messi lived something that very few people thought he could live. At his age, with his history of injuries, with all the accumulated wear and tear of more than 20 years of career, Messi was able to shine on a stage that crushes the best. A World Cup, with all the pressure of a country like Argentina on top, with millions of people waiting for him. Once again, make it impossible. And he did, his way, with that tranquility that only the chosen ones have, with those passes that seem easy, until you realize that no other human being in the history of this sport would have gotten them, with that ability to appear at the right time, in the second exact, when his team needed it the most. And that's where Luis Suárez was watching every game, every minute, every play. Suárez, already retired, already out of the fields as a player. He saw his friend Messi continue to do what he knows best, and what Suárez felt during that tournament. It is a fundamental part of what he has said today to Messi between tears. But it's not the time yet. Not yet. Hold on a little longer, because when we get to that point, I promise you that you will get goosebumps, because this is not just about football. This is about friendship. A friendship that has survived everything. Club changes, different continents, injuries, defeats that would have broken anyone, victories that brought them together forever. Messi and Suárez are not just teammates who got along. They are brothers. That has been said publicly many times. Their families have dinner together. Their children play together. When one suffered, the other was the first to call. When one won, the other was the first to celebrate. That connection they had in the field. Those blind passes. Those combinations that looked like telekinesis. They were the reflection of something much deeper. Of a relationship that transcends sport. And that's why what happened today is so strong. Because it's not just any teammate asking another teammate not to retire. It's a brother asking another brother not to leave. Not to leave him alone. Not to take away that magic from the world yet. Think about what Suárez had to feel when he found out. Imagine it for a moment. You are at home, calm, and suddenly you see on TV or you get a message on the phone. Messi says he is retiring. The man with whom you have shared the best years of your career. The man who passed you balls that only he could see. The man with whom you hugged after every goal as if it were the last. That man says he's leaving. That he's not coming back. What do you do? What do you feel? And Suárez did what anyone who has blood in their veins would do. He cried. He cried in front of everyone. Without hiding. Without shame. With a broken voice and eyes swollen. And he spoke. But before I tell you what he said, before I give you every detail of the request he made to Messi, I need you to understand one more thing. I need you to understand why Suárez's opinion weighs so much. More than any journalist. More than any coach. more than any fan in the world. Because Suárez does not speak from the outside. Suárez speaks from the inside, from the trench, from the night of the Champions League in which they looked each other in the eye, before jumping into the field and saying without words, "Today we win." From the training sessions behind closed doors, where Messi did things that the public never saw, and that Suárez was the only privileged person to witness. Suárez is the closest witness to the Messi phenomenon. And when the closest witness cries and begs him not to leave, something very big is happening. Now yes, let's get to the point. Let's get to what you're all waiting for. But first, a fact that is going to put your hair on the line, and that you need to know to understand the dimension of what is coming. Messi currently earns around 50 million euros a year, between salary and advertising contracts linked to his activity as a footballer. 50 million euros a year. That is the figure that the world of football loses if Messi retires. But not only that, the MLS, the league where he plays, generates around 400 million euros a year in television income and sponsorship since Messi arrived. 400 million euros. Think about that. A single man, a single player, 400 million euros of economic impact. If Messi leaves, that money evaporates. And there are those who say that the owners of the league shake their legs just thinking about it. And I think that beyond affection, beyond friendship, is one of the reasons why everyone is asking Messi not to retire. Because Messi is not just a footballer. Messi is an industry. Messi is an economic ecosystem that moves hundreds of millions of euros a year. And when that ecosystem threatens to disappear, the whole world trembles. But Suárez doesn't care about money. What Suárez cares about is something else. And this is where we really get into what has happened today. Suárez, with tears in his eyes, with the voice that broke every 2 words, has said something that sums up everything he feels. He has said that Messi is still, to this day, the best player in the world. Watch out for that. He has not said one of the best. He has not said he is among the best for his age. No, he has said the best. Without nuances. Without conditions, the best player on planet Earth at this time. And coming from a man who has played with the best and against the best for 15 years, that has an enormous weight. Suárez has said that what Messi did at the World Cup in 2026 made him very proud. That he watched every game, every play, every gesture. And that he felt proud not only as a friend, but as a fan. Because Suárez has said something that very few footballers say about a teammate. He has said that in addition to being a friend, he is a fan of Messi. Fan. A guy who has scored more than 500 goals in his career. Who has won Champions League's individual awards. He publicly recognizes and among tears that he is a fan of another footballer. Do you realize what that means? Do you realize the humility and love behind those words? And this is where I get a knot in my throat too. Because Suárez has added something else. He has said that he does not miss a single game of Messi, that he sees them all. It doesn't matter if it's a league game, a friendly, a summer tournament, or the final of a World Cup. Suárez sees them all, as one more fan, like the kid who sits on the sofa and enjoys watching his idol. Only his idol is also his brother, and that makes everything more brutal. And the request that he has made to Messi, Suárez has said, with a completely broken voice, to ask him please not to stop, to keep playing, that he does not take away from the world the privilege of watching him play football. The privilege, that is the word he has used. Privilege. Because for Suárez, watching Messi play football is a privilege that the world cannot afford to lose. Not yet. Not now. Not when he is still able to do what he does. And I ask you, is Suárez right? Should Messi continue? Or does he have the right to leave whenever he wants? In peace, happy, with all the titles under his arm. Because there is the debate. And it is a debate that does not have an easy answer. Because on the one hand, you respect the decision of a man who has given everything for this sport. But on the other hand, you are born from the soul to ask him to stay a little longer. To give us one more year, one more season, a few more goals of those that make football worth it. And this takes me to the other bomb. The one I have been promising you from the beginning. The one that is going to leave you glued to the screen. Cristiano Ronaldo. The man who has competed with Messi for 2 decades. The man who has spent half his life trying to prove that he was better. The man with whom Messi has starred the greatest rivalry in the history of sport. That man has opened his mouth today. And what he has said. My mother. But before I tell you exactly what Cristiano has said, I need you to understand something fundamental about this rivalry. Because there are people who think that Messi and Cristiano hate each other. That there is a real enmity. And the truth is much more complex than that. They have thrown each other. Yes. They have provoked each other. Yes. They have competed like 2 titans for almost 20 years. Pushing each other to levels that no other footballer has ever reached. But behind that rivalry, there has always been a brutal respect. A respect that both have recognized in private and on countless occasions in public. And today has been one of those occasions. Cristiano Ronaldo, after finding out that Messi says he is retiring, he has given a statement that has left everyone in silence. He has recognized the rivalry. He has said yes, that the competition has been huge. That the two have measured within the field with everything they had. That rivalry has defined an era of football. But then he said something that nobody, absolutely nobody, he expected to hear from his mouth. Cristiano Ronaldo has said that Messi cannot stop now. That the world of football still wants to enjoy his talent. That retiring now would deprive football of something unique and unrepeatable. Do you realize what just happened? Cristiano Ronaldo, the man who has spent 20 years competing with Messi for the throne. He is asking him not to go. He is telling him that football needs him. That his talent is too great to keep in a drawer. And there is more. Because Cristiano has not stayed in the public statement. He has said that he is going to make that request personally. By phone. That he is going to call Messi directly to ask him to reconsider. To ask him to keep playing. The fiercest rival in the history of football. Taking the phone to ask his eternal opponent not to retire. This, dear ones, cannot be written in a fiction script. Because nobody would believe it. And yet it is happening. And this is where my head as a fan explodes. Because think about it for a second. Cristiano Ronaldo, who is still playing. Who still competes. Who still wants to show that he is the best in history. He is asking Messi to keep going. What does that tell us? I think it tells us something very deep about what Messi means even for his rivals. Even for the man who has competed against him the most. Because if your biggest rival asks you not to go, it is that your absence leaves a void that no one else can fill. Not even him. And I have my opinion on this. And I am going to give it to you without filters. For me, what Cristiano has done today is one of the greatest gestures in the history of sport. Not of football, of sport. Because it takes a huge amount to look at your eternal rival and publicly tell him that the world is worse without him. That is not done by anyone. That is done by someone who understands that rivalry, above all, was something beautiful. Something that made us all better. Something that raised football to a level that we will probably never see again in our lives. And look at the contrast with what Suárez has said. Because they are 2 different messages that say the same thing. Suárez speaks from love. From brotherhood. From the tears of the friend who does not want to lose his partner. Cristiano speaks from respect. From the admiration of the rival. From the recognition of the warrior who has fought in front of you and knows what you are worth. 2 different voices. One same message. Don't go, Leo. The world is not ready. But there is a question that no one is asking. And that I think is the most important of all. And Messi what? What does Messi feel about all this? Because we are all talking about what we want. About what Suárez wants. About what Cristiano wants. About what the industry wants. About what sponsors want with their hundreds of millions of euros at stake. But no one is stopping to ask what the human being behind shirt number 10 needs. And Messi has made it clear in the interview. He needs to stop. He needs to rest. He needs to wake up one morning without the obligation to be the best in the world. He needs to be able to go to school to look for his children without having to calculate if he gets to training. He needs to live. Simply live. And I wonder if we have the right to ask him to give that up. If we have the right to tell him, no, you can't stop because we still need you. Because that, to be honest, is a deeply selfish act. Beautiful, yes. Human too. But selfish in the end. And yet, isn't that what love does? Isn't that what admiration does? Suárez cries because he loves his friend. And he doesn't want him to stop doing what he knows best. Cristiano speaks because he admires his rival. And he understands that his absence impoverishes the sport. And millions of fans around the world feel exactly the same. Because Messi doesn't belong to us. No, but in a way, yes. Because he has given us so much that we feel that a part of him is ours. And seeing him go feels like losing something that cannot be replaced. Now I want you to do something with me. I want you to think about your first memory of Messi. The first. That game in which you saw him do something and said, this guy is not human. For some, it will be that debut with Barcelona as a kid. For others, it will be that night in the Champions League where he destroyed a rival by himself. For others, it will be the final of the 2022 World Cup against France. The game that many consider the best in history. Whatever it is, we all have one. We all have a Messi moment etched in our memory. And now imagine that there will be no more. That the next moment Messi will simply not exist. What is left are memories, YouTube videos and statistics on Wikipedia. And that is where Suárez'S tears take on all the meaning of the world. Because he does not cry just for him. He cries for all of us. He cries for every football fan who knows, deep down, that what goes with Messi never returns. Never. No matter how many talents come out, how many miracles appear, how many promises are fulfilled. There will be no other Messi. And when something like this disappears, the only possible reaction is the one that Suárez has had. Cry, ask, beg to stay. And here comes something that is hard to say, but that must be said. Because Suárez'S tears are also the tears of a man who has already gone through this. Suárez has already retired. Suárez has already left the fields. And he knows how it feels. He knows what it's like to wake up one morning and not have to go to practice. He knows what it's like to watch a game on TV and feel like you should be in there, but you can't anymore. He knows what that void is that no hobby, no business, no personal project can fill completely. And he knows that Messi is going to feel that. And he doesn't want his friend to feel it. He doesn't want his brother to go through that grief if he can still avoid it. If he still has legs to run, talent to create, and desire to make us happy with a ball. And I go back to Cristiano for a moment, because there is a detail that I don't want you to miss. Cristiano has said that he is going to call Messi on the phone, in person. Not a message, not a tweet, not a message on Instagram. A direct call from you to you, from legend to legend. And I imagine that conversation and I get goosebumps. Can you imagine being in the room when Cristiano Ronaldo calls Leo Messi to ask him not to leave? Can you imagine the silence on the other side of the phone when Cristiano says, Leo, does football need you? That is a moment that transcends any title, any Ballon d'Or, any goal record. That is football in its purest form. Now, two men who have given everything for this sport, connected by a rivalry that made them immortal, sharing a moment of absolute truth. And what impresses me most about Cristiano's statement is what he hasn't said. He hasn't said, I'm leaving too. He hasn't said, if you're leaving, I'm leaving. He hasn't taken advantage of the moment to talk about himself. He has only spoken of Messi, of Messi's talent, of what football would lose without Messi. And that, coming from someone with an ego as great as Cristiano's, which is a healthy and competitive ego, is of a generosity that speaks very well of him as a human being. And I have to confess something to you. When I got this news, the first thing I felt was anger. Anger because it seemed unfair to me that Messi left. Anger because I felt that they were taking away something that belonged to us. But then I stopped to think, and I realized that anger was only the mask of fear. Fear of a football without Messi. Because we have lived so long with him that we do not know what football is without him. Those of us who are less than 40 years old do not know a football where Messi does not exist. He has always been there. Always. Like the sun. Like the air. And now he says he's leaving, and it's as if they suddenly told you that tomorrow is not going to dawn. But there is something that Messi has said in the interview that has made me reflect. He has said that he wants to go happy, not broken, not crawling, not being a shadow of what he was, happy, with a high head, knowing that he gave everything he could give, and that, no matter how much it hurts us, is the greatest thing a sportsman can do. Choose when to leave. Do not let time throw you. Do not wait for your body to betray you in the middle of an important game. You decide in your terms that the trip ends here. And that's what Messi is doing. And no matter how much Suárez cries, no matter how much Cristiano asks, no matter how much the whole world begs him, in the end, the decision is his and only his. And look how curious. Two men who have experienced football in completely different ways, from opposite positions in the spectrum, have reached the same place. Ask Messi not to leave. Suárez, the friend, the confidant, the brother of the locker room. And Cristiano, the rival, the competitor, the eternal antagonist. Both on the same side, for the first time in history, united by the only thing that could unite them, the recognition that Messi is something that football cannot lose. Now, let's go with something that is important and that I have not seen anyone comment yet. Because everyone is talking about the emotions, the tears, the requests, and all that is very beautiful. But there is a practical side in all this that has to do with very fat figures. If Messi retires, his club ceases to enter an amount that analysts estimate at no less than 200 million euros per year, between tickets, shirts, additional television rights, and sponsorships linked directly to his name. 200 million euros. That is the bill for Messi's retirement for a single club. For the entire league, the figure is multiplied. We are talking about an economic impact of several hundred million euros that disappear overnight. And that without counting what the Argentine team loses, the brands with which it has a contract, and the entire ecosystem that lives around Leo Messi. And I tell you with total clarity, when there is so much money at stake, Suárez's tears and Cristiano's calls are not just feelings. They are also a reflection of an industry that knows that without Messi, the business is worse. Much worse. Hundreds of millions of euros worse. And that does not take away from what they feel.